I had to answer, so I said, well, let me start from the similarities, because my observation is that there are more similarities than differences. Similarities that, first of all, they are both groups, the concept of group. There is someone who is responsible for the group, and multiplication, it's intended to be in both. Maybe Bhakti-Viksha in the sense of more like, maybe sometimes they have even like a number of weeks, in some places 64 weeks, in places 72 weeks, like that. While the council groups, they expand. As you know, there were 3, now there are 60, so they do expand, but again, the rate to become a council takes much longer, some 4 or 5 times longer. But the concept of somebody taking also responsibility, graduating leadership is there. Similarity also, they have some structure. The BV has got 6 items of what do you call them? Every regular items. No, they have icebreaker, they have kirtan, japa, discussion, philosophy, and then preaching session and prasad, 6. Also, the council groups has these 6 different, but 6. They got the 4S, no, the Sadachar, Sadhana, Seva, and Siddhanta, okay? Plus Kirtan and Prasad. So 6. While one is, Siddhanta is more or less same philosophy, maybe done in a different way, but Seva, it's comparable with preaching, because often, it's a practical engagement, basically. When you preach, one outreach or Seva. And Sadhana, one that's got the japa, that's got sadhana in general, sadachar, so there are many points of similarity. What's different, as we can see here, it's conceived in a different way. It's considered that the BV, at least at the beginning, begins and tries to branch off into groups, and so leadership in one sense is more widely available. At the same time, of course, it needs stronger supervision, because on average the leaders are much younger, so it needs much more supervision like that. And the size, Bhakti-Viksha generally stays smaller, council groups stay bigger. I like to show you something different, just because we are talking about this, and I want to show you something. This is a PowerPoint, which I took it from a larger PowerPoint. This is from a Christian pastor, and that was in a conference of cell groups, churches. Cell churches means they base the church not on the church building, but in groups. They call cells. Cells because they're small, and because also as cells they divide. So it was a longer, but I took kind of, everybody can see here, the essence rather than system. Everybody can see the screen? If you don't move your chair. So here, these are excerpts from his presentation by Pastor Ben Wong of Shepherd Community in Hong Kong. Are you familiar with this concept of shepherd? Shepherd generally those who take care of sheep, no? But shepherd in a Christian means somebody who takes care of the Christian flock, of the Christians. So shepherd. Shepherd Community in Hong Kong. So he was saying there is a tendency to imitating model. There is model A, and you're trying to do one-to-one and recreate B. Same as model A, a different place. So for the last, and this is what he put together. I'm just took slides off because he gets into the theology and things. For the last 10 to 20 years, we have tried to imitate models. it seems easier to imitate a model. No one has successfully reproduced a model. That is observation, at least. It has created much frustration. It has created an unhealthy emphasis on super churches. Some churches grow very big, and so people tend to, okay, that's the way to go. No, that's the way to go. Problems with imitating models. We presume that models are super cultural. In other words, they are beyond the local culture. We think models will work everywhere with everybody. We think like that, we say. By imitating models, we lose our uniqueness. Now, trying to kind of force, what you call, round, square pegs into round holes. We try to unify everything into some kind of system. It is really very hard to imitate the model. At least that's his observation. So he's saying, let's focus on principle rather than models. And, okay, the imitation works, as we've seen. A, you try to make B. Principle, you go from, see all these other churches, A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on, and you abstract some concept, some principle of how they work, what makes them work. And then you individualize in church B. That's what he's saying. Which has been, frankly, very much a theme of our ISKCON Congregational Development Ministry. In fact, that's personally has been my style of presentation to stress principles rather than just a name. I've seen, for instance, BV. We did focus on for a few years because it was a new thing and we needed to introduce it. So we introduced it Bhakti Viksha. But really, it's really not the name, obviously, not the name that makes Bhakti Viksha Bhakti Viksha. I noticed in the world, many places they call it Bhakti Viksha. It has almost nothing to do with Bhakti Viksha. They're just home programs, and they call it Bhakti Viksha, but they're not Bhakti Viksha. In some places they don't call it Bhakti Viksha, but they're actually Bhakti Vikshas. Namahatas. Namahatas is the whole range of Namahatas. There's some bhajan groups, there are rural groups. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's model of Namahata, these models were this Namahata was very intense. Members were really mobilized. There's almost a rule. They had a rule that every member of a Namahata group, the Prapanashram, like we were saying this morning, had to preach to at least 5 people every day. They were very focused on the outreach. They would do the Harinam with flags, and they would meet every day. Of course, that was 100 years ago, so maybe the rhythm of life is different. But they would do whatever they needed to do, the occupation during the day, and evening, every evening there would be Namahata, the Kirtan, the philosophy, everything, plus different festivals. So, some Namahatas we have, either in India or in the West, we call it Namahata, but has very little to do with the original Namahata. And that's why when I had, how many of you have experience with Namahata, I saw few hands, but was not sure, because I'm sure different types of Namahatas are there. Okay, so you abstract principle and then you individualize them. The principle approach. Principles rather than models. Life rather than methods. Goals rather than materials. In other words, let's not just take some curriculum from somebody and trying to do it. Just see what we are trying to achieve. What are we trying to get out of the block? Essence rather than systems. The cell system. There are varieties of systems. Okay, here it gets a little technical. There are many systems of cell churches in the world. Each system is good, but systems are not universal. We need to learn from systems. The system is not the essence. The key is the essence, DNA, the indispensables. Release to develop system. The Jetro 5x5 is a system. 5 by 5 means there are 5 groups. Every 5 group one supervisor. Every 5 supervisor another supervisor. And it goes like that, 5 by 5. And they call it the JETRO system. G12. We'll talk some other time about G12. It's a system which basically, or maybe you want to talk now? G12 is a system in which this is a person. They try to have groups of 12, but of course that's a general indication. There are not always 12. Sometimes there are 12 couples, sometimes there are more people, sometimes less. So this group, they meet, they do their weekly meeting. This is the group leader. And then, ideally, each of these persons should form their own groups. So here, this person should go here and form his own group. Okay? But they don't split, they don't go away. So this will be member of 2 groups. You'll remain being member of the original group, so that sense of permanent relation with this counselor, this leader is there, because it's a fixed relation. He's always going to. But he's also a leader simultaneously. So this is the idea. And then also, okay, this is member of this group here as a member. He has his own leader, and he should also form his own group. So the difference is that in one sense there is no formal supervision, because again, they are always part of the mother group. They call this the mother group. Mother. This is the daughter. Call it a different way, but that's one way. This is the granddaughter. Okay? And so they can build their community quite powerful in some place. In Colombia and South America, a few years ago, they were already just in a city 250,000 people. They will rent stadiums for their celebrations. They even elected to the parliament the wife of the chief pastor. Because, with 250,000 votes. So they elected the wife of the pastor in the Colombian parliament. Okay. In the Christian world, there is discussion. Some people are very much enthusiastic. Like I know a church in Singapore. I went to see them one year. It's called the Faith Community Baptist Church. And they were doing the JETRO system. Okay? And they built up to 10,000 people in Singapore. And then the head pastor, the chief, the leader of the whole community decided we have to shift to G12. So he shifted the whole 10,000 people from this system to this system. But there is discussion. Some people say, some people like less. In ISKCON, this is something we have never experienced. So I'm introducing it to you, because some of you might feel inspired and try it out. Or at least consider, maybe do some research. If you Google G12 church, like whatever, G12 groups, cell, like that, you'll find a lot of information. Some information was also in your homework. Any question on this, on G12? And, sorry, last part. And so you belong, every member belongs to 2 groups, and therefore they actually have to attend 2 meetings. That way it's a little more commitment. Because they have to commit, they have to attend 2 meetings. Yes? Broja, I would like to know.